Hello everybody and welcome to Mr. G's. Today we will be baking and we will be baking scones, which is a very typical British treat. In Britain they typically enjoy scones with jam. We will be producing home-produced blackberry jam. Also they enjoy scones with a specific type of cream. They call it clotted cream. So, 3 things today. We will start with the scones, go on with the jam, and finish with the time-consuming procedure of producing clotted cream. Have fun! Let's have a look at the tools we need for baking scones. We need a wooden spoon or a whisk, we need some mixing bowls, we need a rolling pin, we need a glass having a diameter of roughly 7 centimeters, that should do. We need a baking sheet with baking paper, we need a brush and a tablespoon and teaspoon for measuring. What ingredients do we need for our scones? We need butter, we need flour, we need baking powder and baking soda, we need dried fruit. I've selected cranberries and raisins today. We need orange juice, salt, 3 eggs and some milk. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing we've got to do is we take care of our dried fruit. We have a little bit of orange juice here and we fill that bowl with orange juice, just enough to let the dried fruit soak in the orange juice for some time. Well, we set them aside and let them rest for a while. Let us start producing the dough. We've got 500 grams of flour. In Great Britain they often use self-raising flour. In Germany we don't have that, therefore we need to produce it ourselves by simply adding 5 teaspoons of baking powder, which is basically that bag, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda, which is also, fortunately, basically in this bag. Then we will add the butter and start kneading it until it looks a little bit like breadcrumbs. Very easy. Let's give it a go. This is some flour. We add the baking powder. We add the baking soda. We need the whisk to make sure that it mixes nicely. Alright, and then we add the butter in pieces. Alright, it's important that it has room temperature because that makes the kneading much easier. And then, well, we start kneading it. And we must make sure that it looks a little bit like breadcrumbs later on. Let's go on. So first of all, we've got to make sure that we have taken away the juice from our dried fruit. Then we take an extra bowl, crack 2 eggs and place them into that bowl. We add a pinch of salt and 5 tablespoons of milk. We beat the eggs nicely until we have a little liquid mixture in there, and then we pour that mixture into the flour mix, into a little well, and then we start kneading it nicely until we have formed a nice soft dough. Very easy. Let's give it a go. One, 2, all right, a little bit of salt, 5 tablespoons of milk, 1, 2, It's a little easier without the fruit. And then we add the fruit to that bowl until we have that mixture here. And then we take our mixing bowl with the flour, form a little well in the middle, pour it into that middle and start kneading until we have formed that, well, nice soft dough. Very easy. Here we have our bowl with our dough. So what we've got to do now is, to produce our scones, we need to dust the surface a little and dust our rolling pin a little with flour, and then, well, we take the dough and unroll it evenly on that dusted surface. Now, what's important here is that it's rather thick dough. I would say, well, roughly 2 centimeters, maybe even 2.5. But I usually use the thumb, and if it's as thick as the thumb, then it should actually do. Now, what we need now is, of course, a baking sheet and a glass, and we will use that glass to cut out the scones and place them on our baking sheet. Hang on. You. Okay. Okay, the leftovers of course kneaded again into another bowl, again rolled out until we have our whole baking sheet covered with delicious scones, ready for the oven. Now we will preheat the oven to 200 degrees. For our dressing we need another egg, and what we need to do now is we need to separate the egg yolk from the egg white, which works like this. We break the egg and make sure that the white goes into that bowl, and to help it separating, we move the egg yolk from one shell to the other so that the egg white simply drips down into that bowl. Now we have the egg yolk right here, place it in that bowl here, and well, we might want to add just a tiny little nip of milk, maybe like this. That should do it. Well, maybe a little more, but that's it. Mix it with that whisk here again, nicely, and last thing we need is a little brush, and then we take the egg yolk and use that to cover our scones with the egg yolk. It gives them a nice yellow shade. And once we finish that, here a little bit more. Oh, there's a little left over here. Okay. And once we have finished that, they are ready to go into the oven. Now we will move them into the oven and we will bake them for, let's say, well, 15 minutes, and then we can finally enjoy fresh scones. Okay, these are our masterpieces. Well done. Don't they look delicious? What do we need next? That's right, home-produced blackberry jam. Let's go. Okay, here we go again. What do we need for our home-produced jam? So first of all, we need a cooking pot, we need a wooden spoon, we need a lemon squeezer, we need a hand blender, we need a funnel, we need a ladle, and of course we need some empty jam jars. That's about it. The ingredients list for our home-produced blackberry jam is rather simple. We need a lemon, we need gelling sugar, and we need blackberries. Now take a specific look at the gelling sugar. It says 3:1. That means 3 parts of fruit go with 1 part of sugar. Here you see 450 grams of blackberries. As we said, for a good fruit jam, you need 3 parts of fruit and 1 part of gelling sugar, meaning that 450 grams of blackberries need 150 grams of gelling sugar. Also, we need lemon juice squeezed from that lemon here, and we will mix the ingredients in that cooking pot and let the mix rest for at least half an hour. Okay, 150 grams of sugar. Join the blackberries, and here we have fresh lemon juice that also goes into that mix. Now we have to stir it and let it rest for at least half an hour. After resting, our blackberries, the gelling sugar and the lemon juice should look like this. Now it's time to start cooking. Before we start now cooking our jam, we actually have to deal with the glasses. What we do now is we take these glasses and put them into the oven to bake them for around 10 minutes at a temperature of 160 degrees. Why do we do that? Well, for hygiene reasons and for health reasons in the first place, and second, we want our jam to last, and that way they last longer. Well, it is really happening. Don't forget the lids and the glasses, 160 degrees for, let's say, at least 10 minutes. Okay, well, we start cooking our jam, and well, while it's getting hot, we need that hand blender to make sure that we mix the fruit nicely to get some sort of, well, jam juice, so to say. Make the berries all fall apart. All right. And then the next thing is simple. We just have to wait until they cook nicely. And we will cook them for a couple of minutes until they actually bubble. And well, when they're actually cooking, 2 or 3 minutes should be enough. And then we can use the funnel to pour the jam into the glasses. And then they're almost done. Okay, as you can see now, it's cooking and bubbling. You should let that bubble and cook for, let's say, 2 and 3 minutes, and then you reduce the heat on minimum heat, keep it warm, and then we will pour the jam into the warmed up glasses. Now, time to pour the jam into the glasses. For that reason, let's take the glasses out of the oven. Careful, extremely hot. And this later. Okay, then we need that lady here. And of course, a funnel. This is a funnel extra, especially made for jam cooking. So, the ladle, we take one, makes that hissing sound, which means that it's excessively hot. Therefore, be very careful. Second one, this has almost filled. Okay, that's the first one. Now you gotta have one of these lids at hand, and now you take the funnel and move it quickly, but not panically, over to the next glass. Now you take the lid, close it, and now the most important thing, we tip it over and keep it that way for half an hour. Why do we do that? The answer is simple. We don't want our jam to mold. And mold, as all organisms, need oxygen to breathe. So what happens now is we create a little vacuum here that pushes out the oxygen and makes sure that our jam simply cannot mold, which makes it preservable for a long time. Half an hour this way it should do, and then you tip it over again. Okay, second one. Well, we will fill it all up until it's full. Hang on. Second one. 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay. Again, we take the lid. Close it tightly and then tip it over half an hour and let it rest that way. That's basically it. We have finished our home-produced blackberry jam. Easy.
It's going to be very British today, so we will be baking scones, and scones are typically enjoyed with clotted cream and jam, and for that purpose we have started the day early by producing clotted cream. To produce clotted cream you have to pour some cream into a little pot and place that little pot into a larger pot filled with water to give it some sort of, well, bath. And the cream is supposed to bake in the oven around 70 or 80 degrees for 8 hours. Well, we will see how it turns out. We will report later. Now, after 9, 10, 11 or maybe even 12 hours of baking, your clotted cream should look like this. There is that little, well, butter-like cream swimming on the surface of the cream. And now it's time to take the pot outside of your oven, let it cool down for 2 hours, and then put it into the fridge overnight. Good morning, clotted cream. So that's what our clotted cream looks like after 12 hours of nighttime rest in our refrigerator. As you can see, the clotted cream is swimming on the surface of the liquid. Now the only thing that we've got to do is we have to spoon it off and we're done.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've done it again. Another mission accomplished. Home-produced scones with home-produced blackberry jam and home-produced clotted cream. Now let me say it like that. Being a German, you just cannot get more British than that. Enjoy your meal.